Descriptive adjectives in Italian describe qualities, states, physical traits, and personality. Most of the time, they're placed after the noun that they describe, but they all must agree in gender and number, whether it's masculine, feminine, singular, or plural. We can begin with gender agreement using the endings of adjectives. Adjectives that have typical endings follow the same pattern as many nouns. Let's use the adjective bello, beautiful. Il ragazzo bello, I ragazzi belli. La casa bella, le case belle. In general, this is the pattern for adjective endings, and we can see the same thing with adjectives that have a in the masculine singular form. Let's use the adjective entusiasta, enthusiastic. Un ragazzo entusiasta, una ragazza entusiasta. Ragazzi entusiasti, ragazze entusiaste. At the same time, some adjectives end in e, and these are gender invariant in the singular form. A common adjective is interessante, interesting. Un libro interessante, una storia interessante. Libri interessanti, storie interessanti. Considering these points, the key rule to remember is that adjectives always agree with the noun, not with the meaning. And even if the adjective is far from the noun, agreement is still necessary. Some examples are: il gruppo è grande. Le persone sono stanche. Nonetheless, the position of adjectives matters because Italian is more subtle and stylistic. The general position is to place adjectives after nouns, describing literal meaning and distinguishing information. However, some adjectives can come before the noun, especially when expressing subjective impressions, familiar qualities, an emphasis, or emotional tone. Common adjectives that precede nouns are bello, brutto, buono, cattivo, grande, piccolo, nuovo, vecchio, giovane, caro. Some examples are una bella giornata, un vecchio amico. Despite this rule, it's important to consider that some adjectives can change meaning depending on placement, as you can see in this chart. For example, if grande comes before a noun, it would mean great or important, but if it's placed after a noun, it simply means big. This concept applies to all of these adjectives, and we can see the distinction in these phrases. Un grande uomo, a great man. Un uomo grande, a big man. Un vecchio amico, longtime friend. Un amico vecchio, elderly friend. Moreover, when adjectives follow the verbs essere and stare, they must agree with the subject, but the meaning can change depending on the verb, like saying è nervoso, he's a nervous person. Sta nervoso, he's nervous now. We know that the subject is he without the pronoun because the ending of the adjective indicates that. Also, the topic of essere and stare is something I showed in a previous video, which I recommend watching to understand this idea. Furthermore, if an adjective refers to multiple nouns, the number will typically take over. If a sentence has mixed genders, the masculine plural will be used, but if it's all feminine, the feminine plural is used. Un ragazzo e una ragazza intelligenti. Una casa e una strada strette. Even so, some adjectives can stand alone when the noun is implied. An agreement still applies. Il rosso, the red one. I giovani, young people. La bella, the beautiful woman. At last, Adjectives can also be modified by intensifiers, and these words do not change unless they are adjectives themselves. Molto, very. Troppo, too. Abbastanza, quite. Poco, a little. Una casa molto grande. Sono troppo stanchi. Overall, this is how descriptive adjectives work in Italian, considering agreement of gender and number in position that can change meaning.